Hey everyone, Acid Drop here, back at it again with another anime review. That's right, we're continuing our summer 2020 anime review. The anime we're reviewing today was actually a spring 2020 anime that got delayed because of COVID. It's called Fugokeji Balance Unlimited, or The Millionaire Detective Balance Unlimited. This is actually based on a novel by an esteemed author, Yasutaka Tsutsui, I believe is the original author. The novelist who created this anime. This was one of my favorite animes of 2020, next to No Guns, No Life, season 2, as well as others like Fire Force, etc. But I really enjoyed this one because it was different. I felt like it was original. It's a detective story. It's almost like a what if there's this Japanese James Bond level character who uses, essentially, he has an unlimited balance of money and uses this money to essentially just do whatever he wants using this AI called Hughes. And I really enjoyed that part about it because they pin him up with this more traditional young detective. Both of them are about the same age, who doesn't want to just use money to, solve everything. And they have to work together to essentially just kind of uncover. They go after, I believe the first few episodes are more about kind of like, I don't want to say petty crimes. There's like this plot going on that they're trying to uncover, but you never really understand what the point of the anime is till you're about, I want to say, almost midway through, when you get the main story and you get like this really great like conspiracy, like counter-terrorism story about the main character Kanbei Daisuke and also Katuharu. Like a lot of it relates back to Kanbei Daisuke, who's the millionaire detective, or Fugokeji. He is the one where all these things like kind of like really come back to. And there's this weird balance that they strike between trust and distrust, especially between the teams, especially between Katuharu, who I would say is more of the main character than Kanbei Daisuke. A lot of the story relates more to Daisuke, but Haru is really the one who brings it all together because he's like the normie, and he has to really believe in Daisuke, especially towards the end. It was just really awesome to me, and I really liked the balance that they struck between the two characters. There is one episode where you find out more about Daisuke, and Daisuke actually tries to... It's almost kind of like a filler episode where Daisuke runs away from like his family because he's annoyed about something, and he goes and stays with Haru, and they like kind of bond and live, and Daisuke has to live essentially as just like a regular guy, which he has never done before because he's like this rich guy who's always had a silver spoon. And I thought that was a really good character development moment for the both of them. I would say that their character developments are very subtle, especially for Daisuke, but I would say that for Haru, it's actually a bit more, because Haru, when he starts off the series, he's got a lot of trauma, and the trauma really gets explored and covered throughout the entire series, especially at the end. But I would say that Haru overcomes it towards the end, so you get to see that clear-cut character development of overcoming obstacles, and he becomes different. He becomes like his old self, where he's happy and he is motivated to be a detective, or what one of his friends calls a hero. So I have a lot of pros about the series: great animation, great style, great story, great characters. My one con would be that Daisuke's character development is really subtle, and that's a little, that could throw some people off, but it makes up with it with Haru. I will say that I wish the main plot was maybe like a little bit, like it started coming out more at the beginning, instead of like a little bit more midway through, where you're just like, okay, like now we're going into like this conspiracy story that has not really a conspiracy, but this mystery that has lasted, I would say, like 20 years or so, and they're finally going to solve it, and it relates to Daisuke and his past and his family, and his rich family, etc. So as always, marketing summary, and then I'll go from there. The marketing summary is as follows: Daisuke Kanbei, a man of extraordinary wealth, is assigned to the Modern Crime Prevention Headquarters as a detective. It is there that he gets partnered with Haru Katu, a human detective who values justice above all. The two are polar opposites and their morals clash time and time again. Haru despises Daisuke for using monetary wealth to solve cases, as he believes that money isn't everything. The two will have to combine their efforts, however, to solve the mysteries that are coming their way. It's a very perfect example of what the story is about. They get partnered together. I believe throughout like every episode, it's done very stylish because at first, like really Daisuke, like he always solves all the mysteries and crimes that they deal with by using Hughes and also spending a lot of money. And one of my favorite things about this series is that at the end of every episode, they have like this splash screen that tells you like the amount of money that Daisuke has spent in the entire episode doing all the things that he's done with Hughes. And I think that's really cool. And I really love how flashy it is every time Daisuke really, or Kanbei as they call him, I like the style and the music that they put every time he solves something. Like it's really clever. It's really James Bondy, and I've really enjoyed that. I would say the series really gets good when you find out that Kanbei's family had a murder, like the murder of his mother, and how it relates to this energy, like this technology. I believe it creates energy that his family has had under their thumbs for quite some time, and he doesn't really know about it. He thinks that, like he sees like all these, these extremes, people using like this unknown poison, this unknown gas, and trying to commit all these crimes, and he kind of starts to kind of correlate it back to his family and whatever his father was working on with his mother that caused the death of his mother, and he thinks that his father actually murdered his mom. And all that gets revealed towards the end. It all relates to Haru's senpai, who is Chosuke, as well as this other guy, Katsuhiro. These old two detectives, and this is a mystery that has spanned a long time, and essentially cost Chosuke a lot. And Chosuke finally gets like his essentially like his what am I trying to say? He finally finds out what everything that's happening happens, and ultimately it causes his death, which then caused Haru to be more motivated to really go out of his way to solve this case with Kanbei. And eventually things really get heated up because Kanbei tries to use Hughes to really find out certain things, and Hughes won't let him. There's a point in time where you think that Kanbei is actually the bad guy, and he's not. And throughout that, a little bit before that, you really get to see Kanbei and Haru work together to solve mysteries, bond, and also help people. There's this kid in particular that they help that you get to see in the last episode, who seems to have joined Haru and Kanbei's a little whatever they're doing now, because it seems like they're operating outside of Japan. But really interesting stuff. I really enjoyed it. My one con about the series is like towards the end you find out that Kanbei's father is actually still alive, and that he's actually not he's not responsible for all the things that he has done. Like it seems like he was actually like after the death of his wife, he suffered some kind of mental breakdown, and he's actually been like in hospice. I don't want to say hospice care, but some like just in care. Because at the end, Haru says like, did you talk to your father or whatever, and they're there like in the area, and he says no, and then you see his father in a wheelchair. So I think it's kind of you're led to believe that like his dad is just not there anymore. Like he's just living every day, but he's suffered such a emotional and mental break that he's not really living. Interesting thing about the ending is that it all comes back to Kanbei's family, and his actual grandmother is involved in a lot of the messed up things that have happened. And he has to make the choice between she puts a conundrum in front of him where she's like, if this energy gets out, it'll cause a lot of issues. There'll be more people who use it for terrorism. There'll be, the atomic bomb, that was one thing, but this is going to be worse than that. And so Kanbei is really afraid to take the next step because he wants to arrest his grandmother, and, he wants to serve justice, not his justice, but just justice, what everyone has agreed on is justice. And it isn't until Haru accidentally stumbles in and transfers all this data to everywhere in the world, and he laughs, but just how funny it is and how accidental everything is. And Kanbei finally realizes that he has to serve justice as justice is, and he arrests his grandmother, and he kind of gives away, he doesn't give away his wealth, but he gives away how the Japan in general sees him, because they saw his family as like this very distinct, renowned family, who does a lot of good and stuff, and then all the truth comes out, and he essentially just has to move away because people, kind of like hate him, and or hate his family. And it all works out at the end. It seems that him and Haru are together, and in terms of the millionaire detectives, and they go out and essentially hunt people who are using this energy for bad things. I think the episode actually ends in New York City, in the Bronx, which is funny. And the last frame that you see is like the entire series coming full circle, where Haru is hanging from a bridge, and Daisuke is hovering over him, and instead of helping him, he smiles and like he fakes giving him a hand, but then lets him fall. That's how it ends. It ends like in a perfect full circle moment. I can't recommend this series enough. Please go check out Fugokeji, Balance Unlimited, or The Millionaire Detective, and enjoy it. I really enjoyed it, and I really think y'all will as well. That's it for this review. Please support it by watching it on Crunchyroll, and please support me by subscribing, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.